Hey guys and girls, welcome to this week's episode of the No.B.S. and Birchy podcast. I'm your host Nathan Birch, and this is a show unraveling the truth to the facade of the 21st century. We're now exiting the matrix and waking up to motherfucking reality. And we are waking up to something else, and that is a new year. So we're back to the podcast, back to 2024, and lots of things, lots of people asking questions over the break. Nathan, what do I see happening in 2024? What sort of things can I do for my goals for 2024? So today I'm going to talk about two parts to this podcast. One is goal setting for 2024, and the second part of it is the property market and the economy and what I'm seeing out there. So let's jump right in and start talking about the goals. So I always say to people between the end of the year and the start of the new year, like that week between Christmas and New Year's, I like to reflect on the year that I've had, the year that I want to have in ahead. Celebrate, give yourself a pat on the back, and reflect and think, what are the things that worked well for me and what were the things that weren't well for me. So looking at that, then you can sort of work on what areas you can improve upon and what areas you're doing well with. So on that, I use an Excel spreadsheet. I used to write a lot into paper, but I've used an Excel spreadsheet for about 15 years now on my goals, and it's good to be able to reflect on 10 years ago, right? And quite often when I'm writing my goals, I think, wonder what I was thinking back in when I was 26 years old, or whatever the mindset was when I was thinking then. And I've got it all there. I just put two new tabs, a business one and a personal one, and when I say my business, got property, got business, got that. So I look back and I'm like, wow, my mindset was so different. I wish I could have achieved this when I was 26, and when I'm 36, I'm like, wow, I was achieving that. And as time goes on, it's just a good timestamp there. So if you haven't done it, I encourage you to firstly, sit there and give a bit more of a thought of what your year wants to look like. I think a lot of people spend more time planning their next weekend away, or the next paycheck that they're going to spend, or the next party that they're going to go to, whatever it is that they're going to do. They spend more time planning that than what they do planning how they want their ideal life to look, whether it be from a health perspective, from a well-being perspective, whether it be from a family perspective, whether it be from a monetary perspective, a work perspective, whatever it may be in your life. And I think in my personal parts of my goals, I like to break them down and go, okay, well, what are some of the things I want to achieve from a health perspective, and what sort of wellness things that I can do for myself, what sort of spiritual things can I do? And then I start, I try to have a clear slate for each year and start entering in items. And I go back to the previous year, I go back to the year before and go, oh yeah, that's right, I wanted to do this, I never actually achieved that. And you don't achieve everything on your list. Some people do, but I put lots of things on my list, right? And I sort of live my life in line with the person that I need to become. And I think that's very important, because if you don't know who you need to be to turn up on that day, you don't know how to act, you don't know what you need to do, you can't make those positive steps. And once you've got clarity around the person that you want to become, you need to start living that person that you want to become as well. I'm not trying to sound all Tony Robbins on you and manifest and all that sort of stuff, but it is very important, right? The habits that you have, you can't be like, I'm going to go be healthy and go to the gym eating a Big Mac, right? It's like your actions are not in line with the person that you want to become. And I say that, and as we bring it back into financial aspect, people say all these things they want to do, and they're going to do this, they're going to do that, but they don't have a plan, they don't have a strategy. I like to break down my goals once I put them in there and think, okay, well, what do I need to do in order to get closer to that goal? What steps do I need to take? If it's a financial goal, like I want to buy a property, okay, well, let's go buy a property. What things do I need in order to buy the property? Well, I might need some education. So I need to get the people around me. I need to research what I need to do. Then you might need to go, okay, well, what's the money it's going to cost? It's going to cost me 250 grand for the property. Okay, well, how much deposit do I need? I need 50 grand. Where am I going to get 50 grand from? Okay, well, I can get it from selling my car, or I can get it from pulling equity from another property, I can get it from working hard. If I'm going to have to work hard to save that money, how many weeks, months, years will it take in order for me to get that money required in order to get the property? Is there a smarter way? Is there a way that I can get there quicker? And on that word of smart, people always say these SMART goals. If you don't know what SMART goals are, go and research them. People just say, I want to look fit. What's being fit mean, right? Like, I want to lose weight. Okay, cool. So you're 100 kilos, you want to get to 99.5 kilos. Is that what you're talking about? Or is there a specific figure that you need to hit? And I always like to put the specific in there, because that way, there's a line in the sand that's measurable that you can sort of get to. So research what SMART goals are. They're very important to understand all the parameters around your goals, so you can be clearer on that. And really, your goals should be like a business plan for your life. So a lot of people fail to plan on those sort of things. So 2024, there's a line in the sand, there's opportunities out there, it's a bit of a fresh start for a new year. What is it that you want to achieve? What is it that you need to become? Who do you need to become? And what adjustments can you make in your life starting from today? And we all have things in our life that we can control. You might feel that you may not be able to control something going on around you at the moment. You're like, I've got a situation, I can't do this, I've got to wait 2 years. I find it very odd and interesting when people say to me, oh, I can't do something for another year, or I can't do it. It's like, you don't believe you can do something for another year. That's okay, but you need to, if you want to do it, you've got to find a way to make it happen. So there's always things that we can be doing, small adjustments, small changes, no matter what situation we're dealt with, to be able to set ourselves up for the next stage of our journey of life. So I encourage everyone to plan for the year. And if you have planned for the year and you're a bit stuck, you can reach out to us. We can point in the right direction on some things. We can't help you on every front, but if you need help, we're here to help, and you can reach out to the team. But I think there's a lot of opportunity out there. There's always going to be good things out there, always going to be bad things out there. I think 2024, overall is there's a lot of opportunity, and there is negativity, interest rates or this or that, the next thing, but there's so many good things that are outweighing that. I'm excited to see what the year brings. If we look at the markets in general, starting with the property market and then looking at the whole economy, if we look at the economy, we'll start with that actually. There's a lot of talk about recession, a lot of negative news out there, lots of troubles out there financially around the world. To me, that's a great thing, because as we start seeing that, then liquidity has to flow back into the market to fix it. And I think 2024, we've seen a lot of liquidity getting sucked out of the market in the last 12, 24 months out there. Interest rates rising, liquidity drying up, access to funds not being there, the pressures that are on businesses, that are on individuals, and all that sort of stuff has become very strong. When they start injecting liquidity, that will go to the other side, just like what we saw happen in 2020 and some big booms that had occurred. So if we take that sort of view, look at interest rates, I think most people are aware that interest rates are at a peak and they're going to come backwards shortly. People go, interest rates could go to 20%. Well, they did go to 20% in the 80s and early 90s. Trying to fight inflation, and they could go higher than that in the future. But at this point in time, the average wage versus the average house price and all that sort of stuff, interest rates are probably high in real terms than the 20% interest rate that was occurring back in the 1990s. So it doesn't take much now, because we've got extra digits that are added to our position. So if interest rates were to come back and we've got high inflation out there, then we're going to see higher levels of growth in anything apart from cash. Debt becomes irrelevant with inflation. So the more inflation that we have, the more your debt becomes worthless, and the more that your asset appreciates. So they're all good things. As an investor, I certainly love inflation, because it makes me wealthier, and it makes a lot of wealthy people wealthier, and it makes people with debt easy to pay off their debt. Lots of good things that I see from that perspective. I expect that interest rates will take a nosedive in 2024. Time will tell, common sense will prevail. All the writing on the wall, the elements that are out there are indicating that we're going to be in store for a lot of rate cuts. I think a lot of people will be very welcoming of that. and they'll become wealthy from that occurring because of the right actions that they've taken over the last 12, 24, 36 months in getting their asset position in order. So that's just one part of it. When we look at the property market, what's my views and my outlook for 2024? I'm seeing that there's so many buyers out there. There's so many people wanting to get into the market. And just think about it this way. If we've got high interest rates, the inability for people to go and buy things out there because their servicing may be messed up or whatever the case may be, what is it going to look like when interest rates start falling and more people can come into the market? Every year I talk about Christmas bargains that are out there. I talk about around Christmas there's lack of people, more stock, all that. One thing I observed this year is that didn't occur, right? There's so many buyers out there. People were buying properties and were losing them over Christmas and New Year period. I lost a lot of deals from other people coming in over the top, paying more money. Specifically, in that 100 to 400,000 price range, there's so many people in that market. And I think it's because people can't afford to spend the $2 million. They're not, there's not as many of those transactions that are occurring, but there's more of those cheaper end transactions occurring and more people in that price range. So, when we look at capital cities, I see, places like Sydney, we've still got migrants coming in, fantastic. Places like Brisbane, Gold Coast, even Melbourne, a lot of migrants coming in. Western Australia, Perth, that's one of the hottest markets out there. Am I advocating let's go buy in Perth? Not necessarily. Rents are insane in Perth at the moment. Rents are insane in all markets. But specifically in Perth, we started buying over there maybe about 5-6 years ago, and the stuff we're picking up there has doubled and tripled. If we look at the Gold Coast, that was a market that took off tremendously, right? And there's other markets that are around the country which are doing that or could be doing that. Try and find those markets that haven't had that boom and haven't had that growth. There's still elements like, whether it even be in Sydney, there's markets in Sydney where I can buy a property in 2024 for cheaper than what it was back in 2014. That's a decade that's gone by, and I can buy a property cheaper a decade later. The difference between 2024 to 2014 is that the rents are higher, inflation is stronger, interest rates are cheaper than 2014, and the prices are cheaper than what they were then too. And the cost of construction has doubled in value. So, all those elements are very, very, promising to pick up something cheaper than what you could a decade ago. A lot of people think it's impossible, but it's definitely possible in 2024. So I think smart investors making educated decisions will do very well in 2024. I think people speculating and hoping and praying, and that isn't what's going to make you wealthy. It won't make you wealthy in any market, especially in a market like today. And I think there'll be people that will be fearful out there. Interest rates have gone up, better sell a property. I think anyone selling a property, especially at this point in time, is very, very silly, unless you're totally screwed. The reason being is that, interest rates will start reversing, which will bring more people in, which will push prices up. Rents are on the rise. I think that there's uneducated people. I think there's educated people out there. Educated are really going to be able to capitalise on the markets that we're seeing. And I'm very optimistic as for price predictions moving forward. Quite often people say, interest rates are going up, so property prices will fall. Well, interest rates have gone up for the last 2 years, and we've seen nothing but property prices increasing. So, the fundamentals are not tied that correctly. And looking at all the data that's there, I expect that we're at the early stages of the next boom cycle. So that's what I'm excited buy at the moment. I do have a goal of this year. One of my goals is to buy 100 more properties. So 100 foundation properties is one of my goals this year. Let's see what time does in 2024. That is my goal. I see myself buying them in tranches, not just buying one this month and one next month. I'm gearing myself, getting myself prepared, getting things in place to be able to do so. I'm excited. I like the opportunities that are there, and the reason for me wanting to be so proactive is I see the boom that's coming over the next few years, and cash flow is very strong on a lot of these properties. As interest rates, if you are calculating the yield on a property now, imagine calculating on a yield where the interest rate's 3% cheaper. What would that cash flow look like for you, and what would it look like for more people coming in the market and buying up that stock and dragging those prices up? That's the exciting part, and that's the opportunity. So I'm going to leave it at that. If you need help with planning your goals for 2024, or actioning your goals, or acquiring the assets, or pushing yourself to the next stage in your portfolio, you can reach out to us at 1300 367 925. Email us at admin@B.Invested.com.au, and you know where to find us every week on Thursday: Google Play, Apple Play, Spotify, and YouTube. Thanks a lot for watching. We'll catch up soon. Have a great day. Bye for now.
Like Bilal said, man, we stuck in the matrix. This my advice, don't care if you take it. The dollar about to die, soon to be hyperinflated. This my 2 cents, don't care if you save it. Join be decentralized and you will see. You been lied to the whole time, and it's the irony.